is here, my guru is here, a lot of my friends are here, a lot of dancers are here, and I rarely get this kind of an occasion in the US.
Speak up a little.
Okay. So I just wanted to thank everyone. I wanted to thank Seagull for making this possible for me, this evening possible for me, especially Naveen and Sunandini. Thank you very much. And I will give you a very short tour of the book in terms of what are the main points that I'm trying to make there. And I think then we'll have a conversation. And then we'll open it up to you if you have questions. So let's see, yes, I'm calling it an alternative history of Kathak. And it focuses on women's lives, not necessarily the subaltern Baiji, although it locates the history of Kathak in 19th century Bengal, but that's just the starting point. So it really deals with the discourses of tradition and modernity, what it is that is we call modern, and how that discourse of modernity is linked to the birth of the nation state, and what does that have to do with tradition or traditional dance practices, and what do women represent in that context. So these are some of the points that I'm trying to interrogate in the book. So although I start from the 19th century history of the Nautch, it really goes further into questions of nation state and questions of women's representation in terms of how the nationalist discourse came about in the from the 1920s dance revival to the latter part 1950s and 60s to the present. And of course, much of it has to do with my own experience of Kathak, which I learned from Guru Vandana Sen, who's here. So the book really locates the history, actually in Bhawanipur, right opposite to this place, and maybe I should read an excerpt from that. So it starts from that kind of an engagement, but then it goes into other kinds of engagement. I wanted to begin with this particular song because I wanted to share with you the experiential dimensions of culture. Because when we are investigating culture as researchers, we have to objectify it, right? It's an object of investigation for us. But for me, it's also a very personal cultural experience. So I wanted to bring you all into that experience. And what I wanted to show you was that once you enter that Kathak space, your emotions are structured or patterned in a particular way. So you respond to things in a particular way. So in other words, our emotions are also culturally patterned. And in terms of South Asian cultural practices, we see that it revolves around notions of longing, anticipation, because they are coming from mystical traditions, bhakti or Sufi. So it could be an anticipation to be united with God. As in this particular narrative, it really reverses. It's Krishna is longing for Radha by Grija Devi, sung by Putul Datta. Both are from my guru. As you can see, this is a really collaborative, interwoven narrative for me. So it's this anticipation and longing which is also woven into the structure of the metrical forms in North Indian classical music and dance. Because as you train as a student, you learn to anticipate the sum. So you really have to come to this perfect moment of sum when the last and the first beat unites and creates that union. So I really wanted to start from that particular understanding of aesthetic emotion in Indian aesthetic theory of rasa. And I'm trying to, in my 4th chapter, recontextualize it in a modern context. So that's the experiential aesthetic dimension that I'm trying to negotiate. At the same time, I'm using a political economy lens which really looks at economic shifts in terms of patronage shifts. As you know, in the 19th century, after the fall of the royalty, the zamindars were patronizing the traditions. But then afterwards, there are two different points in that 19th century history I'm talking about. One is the anti-Nautch movement, which happened in the 1890s. It was a social reform movement which was launched against the Devadasis in the south. Then it kind of, trickled around, trickled and went into various different states. And of course, Bengal, Kolkata was Calcutta during that time was hugely affected, and the Nach dancers were affected too. So I begin from the anti-Nach movement, then I go into the other significant historical point, it's the arts revival movement. And when we look into the history of Kathak, we see two important women pioneers, again, in that context. One is Madame Manoka, Leela Sokle. She is actually the modern architect of Kathak. And she was from Calcutta also. And then we have Ruth Dennis, who was visiting India in the 1920s. And so we have these two really important women. Again, we don't really hear about them in our more dominant narratives. And then, of course, you know, we have in the 1950s, after the revivalist, you know, kind of reinvent our traditions in a particular mode. It's established in our national centers. Of course, I'm really summarizing, you know, a lot of very important and nuanced sort of history there, but it's institutionalized in our academies, Kathak Kendras, and Sangeet Natak Academy, and so forth. And then, so the patronage shifts to the state, the nation state. So what the nation state does at that time is that it wants to create this narrative, which becomes kind of a homogeneous narrative of classicism, where the women are reinvented as traditional symbols of Indian culture, and they hark back to the ancient tradition into the Vedic ages. And so we don't, in that kind of a narrative, we have Natya Shastra and many other things that are represented through that narrative. But somehow the Baiji cannot be represented in that narrative, because the Baiji was in this particular interesting space where the sacred and the secular was not differentiated. She had this ambiguous identity where she was a professional woman, and she was also a very educated woman, a cultural woman, and quote unquote, she was also a prostitute. I mean, that's a term that is imposed on them because the understanding of women's sexuality was very different at that time. I don't want to go there now, but again, I want to talk to you about the shifts. So after the nationalist phase, you have, so that kind of homogeneous narrative is created. We have festivals. In the 50s and 60s, we have a lot of festivals that are happening in India. We have the seminars, we have the sabhas. So the state, you know, patronizes Kathak and other classical forms, and it democratizes the form, at the same time reinforcing a elitist kind of a history, which is a patriarchal history, Gharanadar history, where women, again, don't have that kind of a space to represent themselves as gurus or bearers of a particular tradition. But then we have, you know, the late 80s to 90s, the liberalization of India, and this kind of state hegemony, begins to fracture. We have corporate sponsorship. We have all different kinds of experimentations going on with forms. We have the rise of the diaspora. You know, it really starts, this is the globalization phase. We have lots of different practitioners all over the world now. And so it was always already hybrid. Kathak is really one of the hybrid, syncretic Indian forms. It has both Hindu and Muslim traditions. So now when people say now Kathak has become hybridized just because it's kind of interacting with Western forms, well, it's hybrid in that global sense, but it was already hybrid in the national sense. It's a hybrid form. So now we are in that phase, and women are very much actively involved in shaping that narrative. Once again, it's we have the new directions in Indian dance. We have the contemporary Indian dance movement on all of that. But my focus is really on the everyday interaction with Kathak, the lower middle class women who come from and this is my experience with my gurus, in my guru's class. So I have 3 different locations where I'm trying to trace these kinds of practices. One is Nipur Dance Academy right here. The other one is Ravindra Bharati and Padatik. So these centers represent different cross-sections of the community, people coming from various socio-economic positions. So I focus on the housewife who actually, prepares dinner or lunch for her mother-in-law, and we've seen this, comes to the class, quickly changes from a sari to a churidar kameez, and practices the dance, and then wears the sari again, pretending as if she just went out for a walk. This is the kind of commitment they have to the form, and I wanted to actually talk about these experiences that I have, had in my interaction with these women. So my focus is again on these ordinary women, quote unquote, from various cross sections of society, as well as established gurus. And then there's a brief section on choreography, but I really am trying to go beyond notions of choreography here and really trying to explore a more of an embodied understanding of Kathak, because I feel choreography is a very external look at culture. I want to come in from embedded notion of culture. And basically the conclusion is this hybrid globalized context that we are all living in today. And that's basically the conclusion of the book. And I'd love to have
I guess
questions.
today, we especially the academic, in the academic milieu, the key phrase is knowledge production, and anybody who produces knowledge is expected very justifiably so to be very self-reflexive about what they do, where they speak from, what their positions are, to clarify everything in approaching an object of study. So if a question, if the primary question that we can just put is, Bells of Change, Kathak Dance Women and Modernity in India, written by Pallabi Chakravorty. So who is Pallabi Chakravorty, and what is her relationship to each of these? What is her relationship with bells? What is her relationship with Kathak dance? What is her relationship with women in India? What is her relationship with women in modern India? And what is her relationship with India in India, and this very confounding, inexhaustive sort of a term called modernity, which it sends you wondering, it sends you on this this intellectual trip. You don't know what this modernity is anyway. So what is it, And the book, what is very interesting about this book is that you would think, when you read that she's an anthropologist and she uses ethnographic methods for this research, and you wonder, what kind of an ethnographer is she? Because she is all of these. I mean, she's a Kathak dancer herself, and she's an Indian woman, and she's from the city, where she does all her field work. So when you ask this question, what kind of an ethnographer are you? I mean, do you have, some of us will ask the question, do you have enough distance with the object of your inquiry? And some others might ask, so what? I mean, you sit in Philadelphia, you sit in Swarthmore College, and you have the academic resources at your disposal, so you can objectify Kathak dance in Calcutta. So, if you read through the introduction, you would see that this Pallavi's writing throughout the book is being extremely self-reflexive, not self-referential, which would be like navel-gazing, but self-reflexive. It is at every point conscious of she is, and the writing is, at some level, we all know writing becomes independent of the writer. The writing is very, very self-reflexive. It's very conscious of where it's speaking from, and at every moment it says, it almost tells you, I speak from a specific location. It's a checkered location, yes, but it's a specific location, and I don't speak for these women, and I also don't speak from their locations. So she sort of outright makes this disclaimer. It's like, I don't speak for and from these locations, which is very, very essential for anybody who writes history these days, because the question that we have been trained to ask is, who's speaking for whom and who's speaking from which position? So she makes that mix, the United States and Europe. There is this, the only word that I can think of is, there's a lot of discussion on the physical, the body, and the technique, right? But almost sort of relegating certain other things. For example, even when you want to talk of rasa theory, you have to talk about emotions and feelings and transitory emotions and permanent emotions. But it's not academic enough. It somehow is not. I don't sound academic. Probably, if I launch into, if I say, what I felt when about this piece. Can you talk of Indian dances without going into the affective realm? Can you theorize without talking about its emotional aspects? Can you just do that? Which is a huge problem with performance theory today. This field of performance theory today, which looks at the body and the techniques and space and everything, but and very rarely at the content. You know, this whole dichotomy of form and content, I think, still persists in the way we produce theory today, especially performance theory. And what I find very exciting about this this text is that it grants this vast space for these affective aspects of dancing. You know, it's just you know, and some of us I think it was Emma Goldberg who asked this question, who said, you know, in the feminist movement, she said, if there is no dance in the movement, I'm not in the movement. You know, so you know,
I won't join the revolution.
Yes, I won't join the revolution if there is no dance in the revolution. So have we stopped? Have we in the world stopped talking about dance in terms of fun, in terms of joy, in terms of empowerment? You know, it just feels empowering to move, right? So shouldn't we stop talking about all this? Should we talk only about talk about it in very clinical terms? So what I find very refreshing is that this book is largely jargon free and has space for all this. Another fact is this concept of riyaz and rehearsal that we have here. I don't know if anybody before Pallabi has theorized on this idea of riyaz. You know, in Europe or the United States, rehearsal, dance practice usually happens in a studio, you know, where there's a floor like this, you know, where there's this dance, the flooring made for dance, and there's this one mirror wall, you know, and the rehearsal space is a clearly charted, specific space, right? And you go in and you come. And also you have these open rehearsals that dancers do there, you know, they open out their rehearsals for people to come and watch, which I don't think any of us can ever do, because we dance in the backyards of our houses on sticky red oxide floors, you know, and you know, if somebody is a little too tall, you know, his hands are in danger because the ceiling fan is a little too...
Yes, but that kind of training, as soon as you stand in front of the mirror, there is a notion that is very much embedded in that particular moment when you are actually looking at yourself. Because, oh, sorry. When you are actually looking at yourself, you learn to look at yourself as an object. See, my hand, when I learned, we never really looked and knew where exactly the hand position is. I was shaping that space. The space was not already there. Yes. It's objective space. And so this particular kind of training is very different, but we are all being trained like that today. We are being trained in front of mirrors, in studio spaces, but that kind of space and time is already given, and you act with your body in that space. So that understanding of that body is very different than that kind of a subjective body which does not even know, you know, what it looks like when it's doing these movements. So yes, but it's very different than the ballet training, I think, in that context.
And also it's not a critique of mirrored and non-mirrored spaces.
Yeah, it's just a different
it's just the fact that one's own understanding of one's own body, especially in the context of dance, the awareness, the self-awareness while moving is different when the way you have done your riyaz, the way you have practiced. It has a certain impact. There's definitely you know, a teacher, you know, who's telling you that your play is not perfect, or you know, but still.
This particular form of dance practice, which we call riyaz, really constructs these subjectivities. You know, you can read the book and see what I'm kind of grappling with here. They exist in a kind of a mythic time and real time, because you have this cyclical, metrical cycle with Havinda. You are in this space, you know, where their tumris and bhajans are being sung, and your guru is transported. There is this kind of a transportation happening. So you are, although you are very much in a modern world, and outside there's cacophony and all that, for a particular, even if you are not a religious, you know, practicing any kind of religious tradition, you are being shaped by mythic time to some extent, and that time exists, you know, along with real clocked time. So I'm really looking at how these subjects are shaped through these kinds of practices. Of course, when you look at Western sort of training, it's very scheduled time, and those things are also changing. Yes. But you really have classes from 9 to 10, and from 10 you have some other class, and then you train. So that's very, you know, scheduled, clocked time. But we, you know, many of us don't follow those times when you're actually rehearsing. And so those are the kinds of questions that I'm asking.
And talking of forming of subjectivities, we also, you know, practice emotions, right? We also practice these abhinaya pieces. We also practice them. Though we believe that if we over rehearse it, we won't be spontaneous enough. Though we worry about all this, we do practice. Over time, we practice these lyrics. So we also sort of practice certain types of emotions over time, and I think that also has layers the way we understand ourselves, the subjectivity,
and also the notions of basically what I'm also arguing is that binary, when you're actually looking to the mirror and you look at yourself, there is this self-other thing, and when you don't have that kind of thing, and when you are dancing, and because we are so much, our performance theory is absolutely located within this context of performance audience connection. So you are becoming a subject, you are emerging as a subject through interaction. It's a very interactive notion. So basically, that's what I'm also trying to explore there, like how is that being investigated through these kinds of practices, or shaped through these kinds of practices.
We cannot talk of dance like in this airy, thin thing, where we move and where we dance. Do we have the space? For example, seriously, yesterday Pallabi came to rehearse and Pallabi had space till there. So Pallabi was like moving around like this. She charted her own space. She decided that people will sit there and not in front of it. So all of you today decided that you will encroach on her space, right? So all of you came and sat till here, and she had a horizontal, I'm just reducing it. I'm doing a very reductive analysis, but then still, this actual physical space in which where we dance. And then and this book, there are two to three very explosive terms and concepts involved in this book, which I think you should read. One is nationalism, which is like this huge baggy monster that's been chasing us for a long time, and now we also have anti-nationalism and all that. So because it situates art forms change, history is written in certain ways. Certain people are thrown out of certain art forms, and certain people take over, because that happened in Bharatanatyam, for that matter. So these happen when a country is going through major changes, and when it's suddenly emerging as a nation state. So there is nationalism, and it situates it in that context. And the other context in which it situates is everyday empowerment. And then this whole again, anthropology and sociology, and many disciplines have this habit of looking at peoples, in plural, and people, and sort of individuals and individual negotiations of power and exchange of power are sort of left out unless they come out as biographies, or those, and they're not part of the theoretical domain. So here you have these, otherwise they become case studies. It's like this super clinical term. You're not a person anymore. You're a case. So instead, to look at individuals, and look at these dancers. As she said, this dancer who comes, without other people knowing, and comes and practices and goes, has to go before the kids get back. And what do they do? And why do they do it? I mean, why do they do it? I mean, I'm sure.
Why aren't they getting trained in computers or something which is going to be much more financially, Yeah.
Yeah. So why? I mean, we can just.
This question.
Yeah, we can just simply say.
Her point is that it is very interesting. I mean, if I'm wrong, please tell me. I think one of the points she's trying to make is that we have a tradition of classical dance, but we are connecting that with a modern state of India. Now, that seems like a contradiction, right? That we're talking about an ancient dance form, but we're saying we're modern India, therefore we have a classical dance form. Something like that.
Exactly. To take off from there, she's even questioning how ancient is this ancient
exactly.
dance.
Now, this is how it's presented, but it isn't really that ancient dance form. There are lots of evolutions along the way. So why is it told? Why is this history written in a particular way, and why we are connecting this idea of the modern with learning dance? If we say somebody is very conservative, they don't allow their daughter to dance.
Right.
It's very modern to allow your daughter to dance on stage, even today. So why are we saying that dancing is modern? These kind of issues. I don't think she's saying that it's a corruption or it's a commercialization.
I'm kind of positioning my work as alternative history. So I'm basically questioning this kind of a linear, how we present the history of Kathak, as starting from the Kathakas. And there are these Kathak castes who used to singing minstrels who used to sing, and so forth. And this kind of historiography has been questioned. I mean, I don't want to go into it. There's lots of very good work that has happened. We have the subaltern history, and so that has been a very active kind of histories from below, and I've talked about that in great detail in my book. Why am I questioning these things? And all of that has to do with certain sort of narratives of modernity. So and public sphere and all of those things is very technical terms I don't want to go into. But what I am kind of suggesting in that book is that I want to talk about a different kind of history that never talks about the women practitioner as these repositories of tradition and power. Because the Nach girl or the Tavaif, really, we never really know about how they were trained, even if we look at the history, or even the status of the guru. It's always with the Gharanadar male. So what I'm saying is that this is a kind of a reconstructed history. If you start looking at the Kathak past, and if you try to make this uninterrupted historical trajectory, you cannot do it. There are huge gaps in that narrative. So you look at paintings, because there are no written, you can get a little bits and bits about the descriptions of the dance in colonial writings and so forth, but you also have paintings. So in those paintings, you look at miniature paintings, you'll see lots of women who are dancing and playing music. So they are all obviously musicians. What we have is Tumri, like the women, the Tavaifs were the first recorded artists. So that's what we have. So how come we can't know about their lineage, their musical sort of histories and so forth? So that's how I started kind of my questioning of that official history. And that the gharanas in fact really began in the 19th century. All of this, I don't want to go into this again. You can see the book, how those things came about. And as soon as they came about, it kind of became ancient tradition. That's how the discourse was shaped. But it was really, the gharana is very recent actually. And it's not just Indian, classical Kathak tradition, it's also musical gharanas. So, North Indian classical music and Kathak, they are absolutely entangled in that history. So that's why I'm beginning my history, rewriting of it from the Nach. Because I want to, and so I'm tracing the history, from the Nach to the birth of the nation state and the, social, so the dance revival. And then what I'm saying is when the nation state actually established the Kathak centers and so forth, it did perpetuate that kind of a monolithic top-down elite history. And at the same time, what it did was that it started doing these festivals, it started doing these workshops, so it starts to really get into it, the knowledge starts to diffuse in different cross-sections. Then you have the television, so I actually have a section on the media. The television shows, the state academy, the Rajya Sangeet Academy, all of that actively promoting Kathak. The gurus are coming, doing workshops, Maharajji is coming here. So there is a lot of, the Eastern Zonal Cultural Centers are, all the zonal cultural centers are set up. So these micro institutions, and how that starts to travel. And there's a lot of exchange between states, regional sort of exchanges that are going on. We tend to overlook these kinds of exchanges, and we are talking about the global local, but those things are also happening within India as well. So, and then urban, you have what we call the mafushal's, so from the mafushal you have young women, every day taking the train and coming to the city to learn the form. So that's how, and then they're setting up dance schools and they're teaching. So it really starts to permeate.
You also have the Song and Drama division of the Ministry of Information Broadcasting.
Exactly.
Which goes to the rural areas.
Absolutely, and I talk about that also. So and then the satellite comes in. So I have a section on television and that impact of television on these, and then you have dance being taught, on these television channels and the kind of impact that has on the general population. So what happens, it becomes accessible.
Certain versions go as the accepted official versions, and they become, and sometimes they are even circulate without any contestation of anything else. Okay, and in this context, if somebody, for example, I am extremely familiar with the history and historiography of Bharatanatyam. What happens is, there's been a lot of interest in the Devdasi and the anti-Nach and the Devdasi bill and that and modern dance. But then in the moment there's a discussion of the important practitioners and gurus and institutions in Chennai today, right? And then it'll just move straight bang to UK, the diaspora in the UK and the diaspora in the United States, right? But But there are millions of other people practicing dance, millions of teachers of dance, even in Tamil Nadu today practicing dance, millions of people who have come from the Devdasi families, which are called Nattuvanar families, who live and who practice, who teach dance, who are not part of these history writings, who are somehow left out of these narratives about history. And they become, and sometimes they all even circulate without any contestation or anything else. Okay, and in this context, if you, for example, I am extremely familiar with the history and historiography of Bharatanatyam. What happens is, there's been a lot of interest in the Devdasi and the anti-Nach and the Devdasi bill and that and modern dance. But then in the moment there's a discussion of the important practitioners and gurus and institutions in Chennai today, right? And then it'll just move straight bang to UK, the diaspora in the UK and the diaspora in the United States, right? But there are millions of other people practicing dance, millions of teachers of dance, even in Tamil Nadu today practicing dance, millions of people who have come from the Devdasi families, which is called Nattuvanar families, who live and who practice, who teach dance, who are not part of these history writings, who are somehow left out of these narratives about history. And the bill was passed, and the Rukmini Devi came and established Kalakshetra, and there was a decor of dance. But then there are these, as you said, there are lots of women, lots of men dancing, moving and taking, and also they've become economically, there's an upward mobility economically. There are these people, we think they learn and they go, and they're not star performers in Chennai, but they learn and they go to their hometowns, back to the hometown, and they take classes, they do, there is a certain economic pattern to that as well. But where are these people? Even when we talk of them, we take up that this is quality dancing in Chennai, and then there are these other dancers.
So we have the other kind of assembly, like we always have this disdainful kind of look at, oh, that's not really dilution of tradition, or assembly-like production, assembly-like line production. We hear these kinds of terms from dance critics and so forth. But what I'm trying to say is that we have to kind of be more self-conscious and legitimize those kinds of histories as well, and those kinds of practices as well, because they are the, really that's why it's a vibrant and viable and lively form. Otherwise just only 5 people performs and important critics go and write dance criticism. No tradition or no modernity tradition discourse of dance can survive like that, and I would like to conclude. If you don't have any other question, maybe we should, go.
No, I'm just bringing the attention back to the book and concluding. Okay. And we talked about rewriting history and went to a theoretical critical domain. So what is it with the book? With the book, when somebody's contesting an established version of a history, what is he or she doing, right? And when she says, these people's histories and narratives are left out, what is he or she doing? What is she doing? Is she facilitating their histories, or is she writing down their histories? Is she taking their voice and speaking out their histories? These are the problematic questions. And what I think is this book negotiates that very, very dangerous, explosive space, right? I'm not speaking for, and I'm not speaking from, and also I am not facilitating. Even that is a very polarized power situation. You have a problem, I will facilitate. It's not that. It's like I am making a rupture, right? There is this history, and that's going down as the official version. All that I can do is, from the intellectual resources